Hello everybody, welcome. I'm going to be showing you how to do a window regulator. And first off, you start with getting off the door panel. And to do that, you have to take off the little, I don't know what they would call it, the bezel. The bezel is what you would call that. And basically you just take preferably something plastic or not really a screwdriver too often because you could mar up the bezel. And so something plastic will be nice for it. And basically just pop it out. There is a tab at the front that I will show you in just a second that I did it a little bit backwards, but I managed to not break it, so that's always a good thing. And there's just, as you see, a bunch of tabs in there. They just pretty much pop straight out. Except for the front piece, it kind of hooks in there. So after that, you pretty much just get some bolts out. There's the tab. Said bolts, I think there were 12s. 12 millimeter. 10s or 12s. One of the two. You're not really going to find many bolts that are 11s. Oftentimes I'll use the drill or bolt or socket to help you lift out the screws. Then there's a Phillips head screw holding in the hand guard, so that way you can grab it without cutting your fingers, because if you knew it was under there, it wouldn't be, you're very happy for the plastic guard that they have. So, remove that, Phillips head screw, just a single one. Do that, then you pull the handle and easily release the thing. It does have a little clip at the front that you got to pop out, so a lot of times when you're working with door panels and things, there's a lot of mysterious clips in places, even that the manual won't specify specifically, and so you're just kind of left to your imagination. So you got to be pretty gentle, yet firm when you're doing with this stuff, because you might be breaking something or you might just be popping loose a stubborn clip. I fiddled with it for a few minutes with just the plastic because I was trying not to do anything, but I ended up having to use a screwdriver as well as the plastic, so I used the plastic shiv basically to kind of scoot along, and then I used the screwdriver to help me pull the sections that had the push clips in there. And as you see, we just start popping. Once you get a majority of it popped off, it's pretty easy to work your way around and get the rest of it off. And of course, be careful when you're doing this, because if you pull too hard, you risk breaking something. Then of course you want to take off the top A-pillar speaker, because oftentimes they can be holding possibly a secret screw or a clip back there, which can really ruin your day if you try to pull it off, unplug it, and just drop it in the car. As you see there, a lot of times if you're having trouble with a door panel, pull out the bottom of it if you can, and then take a flashlight and look up and see if there's anything you're missing. Just kind of tug on it a little bit, see what's binding and what's stuck, and then try and work it from there. Just don't be too rough with it. As time passes, you'll come to learn that the older the door panel, the less you want to pull, because plastic as it ages, it gets very brittle. This is the biggest pain in the ass part. This is the vapor barrier inside the door, and it's just glued on there. It's got a sticky, tacky stuff around the edge, and it's just super sticky. And so you got to just pull it off very slowly, because you don't want to tear this. You want to get them nice and tight, but don't break them. I mean, if it does, it happens sometimes, but you really want to avoid tearing that. There's the window regulator connector, basically. The window pops into that, as you can see, the window regulator's going up and down with no window attached. So I took it off because I thought that whole panel was coming out. It's also making kind of metally grindy noise. It's a 30 Torx. I'm glad I did that for myself. I may cut this from the video. 30 Torx will be getting off the electrical motor, which is what actually makes the window regulator go up and down. So, just unbolt that. A little tedious. There's some tabs on the sides of the... Basically, the gearing is a part of a plastic housing. The housing pops through, and that's what you're bolting it to, and so it's got some clips that you'll have to fuss with. And that's what you'll see me do here in just a minute. Of course, unplug the motor. Preferably do that first, but once you get that, there you go. Motor's off. This is the pain in the ass part. The regulator is actually bolted on. It's not bolted, it's riveted on. So you will have to drill out the rivet at the top. And the replacement regulator, you want to double check it, but the replacement regulator will come with a bolt and a nut that you will simply go through. So drill it out, tap it out, ta-da. You get the regulator part to pop out the back. That whole panel looks like it should come off, but it doesn't. And that was a problem I ran into for a little bit. There's the little clips that I'm going to be pushing to try and get the the gearing off. So once you get that pushed in, then it'll pop out and you get the whole thing out. So just kind of tap a little bit. This is the old stuff, so don't be afraid to bust some of the plastic that's part of that, because you're just going to be replacing it anyway. Of course, make sure that your new regulator has the similar, faculties on it, that you're not busting something you need later. And there we go. There's the regulator, and as you can see, it's kind of falling aparty, very dirty. And of course, always check your new parts. Whenever you get the old one out, inspect it. There is the replacement bolt, and there is the lovely girl that hangs out at our shop. She's trolling my video making, as you can see there. So I'm going to be trying to get that bolt through the top section that I riveted out. And that's pretty much that. You get that in, then you just start bolting it back together. So, I mean, if you've pretty much gotten what you wanted out of it, you could stop here and, it's just bolt in and go on with it. Once you get that, it's hard, little hard to do it blind, because you can't really see back there, so you just got to do it with feel. And go ahead and throw on that nut. Start getting everything lined up. You usually don't want to tighten things too far down until you're sure that you've got it all lined up. Like right there, I'm got the bottom part in, the top part in. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten it up, so that way I don't have to worry about it moving again on me. I was running into a little problem here where I accidentally left the bolt that came with if you see the little silver dot right in the middle, like it's just above the white regulator connector, there's a bolt on the other side of that. That's why the door, I'm sitting there pushing out, like, why is it sticking out? But ended up figuring out that there was a bolt on the back of that came with the new regulator that I just didn't see, and so I got that out. It all fit in great. But there you go, putting the motor back on to the regulator, and then you just use that number 30 Torx and bolt it back in. The difficult part with getting these started is that it'll always be tight, versus when you're taking it off, you loosen up the bolts a decent bit, and then they pretty much come out via fingers. But when you are bolting in a new regulator, it will have a fresh plastic, and so the plastic has not been pre-cut. And when you do that, you'll have to bolt it down. It sometimes, back in the day before I got good at this, you'd feel like you're cross-threading the bolt, but you're just cutting threads into the plastic with those bolts. So that's all you're doing there. That was the bolt that I missed a little earlier. Get that all locked down. Then our window regulator will be completed, and it'll be time to put the door panel and all that junk back on, which there's not too much commentary for that part. So do enjoy. I mean, it's just reverse of what you took off. Make sure to plug everything in. Sometimes you have to plug in the door panel and you have to kind of hang it up. But here's the difficult part that is a little tricky. You have to slide the window down into the slot, and there's a tab that sticks through. What I didn't do right here, I gave it a little tug, but I thought I heard it click, but it wasn't down in there far enough. As you see those two little fingers on the left and the right that kind of stick off, you're really supposed to press it down far enough to where those will spread, and it'll actually lock into place. So I just pushed it up here, and then, I lost it. So I looked at the regulator again, double-checked it, and you really got to firmly press it down in there. So you want to grab the regulator with one hand and the window with the other, so you don't break your new regulator. And you got to spread those particular tabs out, so it'll snap back in place. And there I am talking. There's the old regulator. You can see the little tab kind of sticking through there. There's another shot of it. That's what there's a hole in the window that the window will lock into that. So you just got to spread the tabs out to get it to really lock in. And now the joyous, lovely pain in the ass part, which is putting the vapor barrier back on, because as soon as you take it off, it's stretched out in some form or fashion, and it never wants to go back on quite right. So you're just going to fuss with it till you make sure that you got all the bolt holes and everything that's necessary to be revealed to be open. And then you just pop on the door panel and go on about your day. Put everything back the way you got it. And that's that. So thank you for watching this lovely episode. I'm going to be doing these a lot more since this is I've been a professional mechanic for 8 years, and I also do gaming. So I've learned a lot about video editing for gaming videos and stuff like that, and so I thought, why the hell should I not make some automotive repair guides? Because I enjoy it, and it's fun. So I also like video editing, and I figure people will find uses for these. So thank you so very much for watching. It's pretty straightforward here. If you forgot this part, then well, it'll still play on, but you gotta work on that. And lastly, the thing that people always say that I never agree with is they always say it's easier to take it apart. Well, it's easier to take it apart if you never intend on putting it back together. If you intend on putting it back together, then taking it apart is the hardest thing, because when you're trying not to break off stuff, you have to remember where the bolts go, and the other problem is you have to figure out what's still holding it on. Once you've gotten it all apart, you're like, yeah, I know exactly what I had to take off to put it back on. So I find putting it back together a lot easier than I find taking it apart. But once again, thanks for watching. Have a good time. And good luck. Leave any comments, questions in the sections. If you had any trouble, let me know, and I will do my best to help you out.